Hello, welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole podcast with me, your host, Matty T, and as always, I'm joined by Azo Young and Ali McKenzie. How are we, lads?
Doing good.
Doing good, aye?
Glad to be back again.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. It's
Yeah.
been a few weeks
It's
now.
been a few weeks, yeah, since we done the last one on secret societies.
Yeah,
I think that one went down well with the people who watched it.
definitely.
Yeah, I heard some good feedback. How's
My
your...
personal favourite episode.
I think it was our best one.
We got really into the
yeah,
Scientology one.
Yeah, Science.
Yeah.
That could be an episode in itself.
Yeah.
Maybe one day, who knows?
Mm.
But how's your week going so far?
Been fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, working on final year of uni, so
Yeah.
we're working on that.
Hard work in that. Oh,
Not enough time.
Not
No.
enough time. Yeah.
Just your last year?
Last year, yeah.
Nice.
I know.
What about yourself? Just working away.
Pretty much just working, mostly.
Yeah.
What about yourself? What you been up to?
No much. Just mulling about the house, breaking TVs. But today's episode is on time travel.
Mhm.
I think this will be a very interesting subject.
Yeah.
I think first of all we'll start off talking about is time travel possible in the first place, and we'll get into kind of cases for and against it, and like different things, pictures or events that people think might have be cause for time travel. But first of all, I'll ask you straight up: do you think time travel is possible?
I think it can be possible.
Right, I believe so.
Do you?
Time is a very complicated
Yeah.
thing. We barely understand it, to be honest.
Exactly. Like people say it's linear, but
It's
it's not.
definitely not. Go and look at black holes.
exactly.
Yeah, it can be distorted.
So, do you think you can travel back in time, or think you can go forward, or do both?
Well, I've discussed this with you guys earlier, but I think he's a physicist, Brian Cox.
Yeah.
He basically made the theory that going into the future, like towards the future, is possible, but going back isn't. And he did say the
I would
side.
agree with that.
Yeah, he did say the side effect of it though is if you do try to travel forward, you'd be stuck there because there'd be no way for you to get back.
Exactly.
At least on his understanding, modern understanding, it could change. What
I
if
think-
we do move on?
And the way I look at it is, I think the past has already happened. You can't go back. It's happened. It's done. But the future's yet to happen, so you can still travel there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, if you travel back forward in time, I would agree. You're stuck there.
Yeah, but the proof is not. It's still a fairly new topic, so there's not enough proof and there's not enough like examples of stuff to come out that's
Yeah.
made me convinced. Because I think if it's Stephen Hawking that said if there was time travel, surely we would have met one by now,
Yeah.
or we'd be stuffed with tourists from the future coming back if
Yeah.
we could go back. You know.
So I think it is possible. I think as for the case, but surely we've met a time traveller. Maybe we have. But we just don't realise it. Or maybe they don't want to make themselves known. Or
Yeah, we
Could
just
you-
overlooked it.
yeah,
They've not been forthcoming with information.
yeah,
And if you really want to get really like philosophical about it, some people say time itself is just a construct we made as humans. It's not like a
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
set in stone
yeah.
part of reality. It's something that
Just
we
it's a way to measure things. A way to
measure and rationalise things
Yeah.
for us to like work ourselves around our own schedule.
exactly. So we say like our dinosaurs were this amount of time ago. When in reality they were just there. It doesn't matter about time. They were there. Now they're not. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and who even knows the calendar we're following right now is the right calendar to measure time
Exactly.
with? You know, calendars have changed throughout history and all
Exactly.
that, and it might even change again. So
Exactly. Look at the missing time hypnosis. Missing time hypnosis. That's a very interesting thing. I'll recommend you two and listeners to look at that. That kind of goes into time as well.
right.
That's a very interesting video. But we're starting to get into some cases now of possible time travel, and we'll start with your one because I think I can debunk that quite easily.
Okay. I should specify that I don't
We
believe
should
it.
start with your one, Aaron.
It's a
'cause
load of rubbish.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I should specify I don't necessarily believe it myself. I thought this one's just an interesting one because a lot of time travel ones you hear they come from the future, but this one's different. It comes from the past,
Yeah.
specifically the 1500s, communicating from a guy in the 80s by a guy called Ken Webster, and he lived in a village in Wales in 1984
Yeah.
with his girlfriend. They moved in and they noticed weird like poltergeist stuff happening. Like
Yeah.
they say like stuff's been moving about. Their like utensils in the kitchens have been like stacked up for some reason, and they've been blaming each other saying, "Did you do this? Do that? No." And basically Ken Webster, the guy, he worked on computers, and the computers were fairly new at the time. They were very primitive, and it was a BBC computer called the BBC Micro.
Yeah.
Now this is before the internet and all that.
Yeah.
So this isn't someone just hacking into it. So he brought one of the computers home for his girlfriend to work on, and they got a strange email. And I'll just get it up.
Was it not a file they found?
Or file,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, a file. It was titled under KDN. I'll read a part of it. Not all of it, because it's quite a lot, but I'll read the first few lines. True are the nightmares of a person that fears safe are the bodies of the silent world. Turn pretty flower, turn towards the sun, for you shall grow and sow. So it's very, very poetic.
Yeah, it's quite
Olden time.
cryptic.
Yeah, cryptic and olden time
Yeah.
sounding. that's the way they say it. The olden time.
The olden times,
Yeah,
old English.
yeah. So obviously they first thought one of them's pranking each other,
Yeah.
but it kept happening and no one was around while it was happening. Plus all the stuff that I mentioned before about all the kitchen stuff moving about, thinking, there's something else going on here, something weird. So they actually tried to respond to it through the old. It wasn't word processor, but it was like a similar word processor at the time they used, and it actually responded back to them saying, "I write on behalf of many. What strange words thou speak? Thou art godly man who have fanciful women who dwell in mine home, with lights which devil maketh. 'Twas a great crime to have bride mine house," and he signs it LW.
Mm-hmm.
So they learn quickly that it's someone from a distant past, from the language it sounds. And the funny thing is, Ken brought one of his friends who has a scholar.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the degree's called, but it's like Olden English. He's very.
Just so happens to have a degree
Yeah.
in.
I know. I'll get to that in a
Yeah.
minute. But he's clued up.
Yeah.
On what they talk, and he said this sounds really authentic. It's not just someone making, like, just kind of like imitating the language.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
who's read up on the lingo essentially. So it's not just your ordinary prankster, if it is a prankster or if it is an actual person from the past. Now, I'll just get to it quickly. The guy, where is it? Yeah. So the person contacting, because through the bot, the computer, identifies himself as Lucas Wayman.
Yeah.
Who mentions he's king, like King Henry VIII. He mentions that. He mentions like he has like his own farm and that. So they're starting to think maybe it's a guy who did live in that house
Yeah.
from a past, who's somehow communicating from the future with
To
Ken
the future.
to the future
Yeah.
with Ken and his girlfriend to to them in 1984. And then once they look into a lot more, he eventually, where's it? He eventually he kind of like admits that his real name is not Lucas, his name is Thomas. And where is it? I'm trying to Thomas Harden. That's it. His name's Thomas Harden. And Ken decides to look into it,
Mm-hmm.
and he finds like a file in a library of a guy called Thomas Harden from Brasenose College in the
Yeah.
1500s. So that's
Yeah.
an actual name that he's the guy in the computer's claiming to be.
Yeah.
Now the guy
Does
who
the time match up with the
Mhm.
king that he mentioned?
Yeah.
yeah, because King Henry was late
King
1400s, early 1500s, so it does match up with the time.
Yeah. King Henry VIII.
Yeah, Henry VIII. That's who it was. He also mentioned what wife he had and all
Yeah.
that, just giving it more details and more evidence to it. The guy who wrote this, he actually made a book
Yeah. Now.
and sold it. It's rare to find, and the people who have read it said it's really long and it goes
Yeah.
into a lot more detail. But this is all the information I could find. Now, some
Right.
people are claiming, kind of like we brought up black holes, so maybe that can be like a wormhole dimension of
Yeah.
two realities talking. It could be an elaborate
One
hoax.
thing you're missing a big piece of the story.
Yeah, what?
The 2109 rubbish.
You're going on the offense of me here.
You're telling a story. You're missing
I
a part
know.
of the story. So basically, it was just this other thing communicating called 2109 or
2109.
something. Who apparently they're from the future and they're the one who is making this connection happen.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, because they interfere with the
Yeah.
messaging,
Yeah, and I just reading up on that. I just
and then Lucas or Thomas, whatever his real name is, just sort of kind of like
Yeah.
faded away eventually.
yeah.
So if it was a prank, they kind of went over the top with it.
I think it is. And the fact
Yeah.
that I think what they realised was, oh, there isn't actually this guy named Lucas. Let's look up someone who really did live here. Oh, by the
Mm.
way, my name's actually
Yeah.
Thomas. Why would they lie? You know.
And it also doesn't help the fact that their friend Peter
Yeah.
is someone who's knowledgeable about it, so he could have been doing it. But if he is doing it, what purpose is it? And
I think it's just for them to sell this book. They want to read.
It probably is. I tried to look to see if the book was labelled under like fiction or not, but
Yeah.
there wasn't really a specification of genre.
I mean, it is a very interesting story, but
It's a
I
different
think
story.
I think if it is real, I think it could be a ghost. I don't think it's
Mm.
time travel or anything, but I think 99.9% is a hoax.
I just wonder, how does someone from the 1500s,
How does he communicate? How does he
how does
actually
he communicate
communicate?
with a computer?
I
He
know.
can't even conceive a computer, never
Exactly.
mind.
In the email one, he said like the blinking lights, the way he describes it. But it's weird how like his words are actually like it's not as if he's speaking, as in like audibly speaking. It's written.
Yeah.
So how is it translating that way?
Yeah.
You know, it's.
I mean, I
hard-
want to believe it, but I think it's just
Mm.
I think it's just nonsense.
I know. I necessarily. I don't think it's true. I think it is like there is more to it, and I'd like to read the book, but
Yeah.
it's really hard to find, and I don't really know if Ken is even alive now to even say. But even if it is a hoax, he's not
Yeah.
going to come out and say it. He's going to run with it. You know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, let us know what you guys think. You think this is real or not, or is it just a big hoax? But we'll move on to another story. The man from Torrid. Now, this is a story from the 1954.
The 1954.
The 1950. I was going to say 1950s, but I remember the year 1954. This guy appears in Tokyo at an airport, and they also check his passport and ID, and that he says he's from Torrid. And they're like, what? It's like I'm from Torrid. And he could speak different languages.
Well, he could speak
He
Japanese,
could
which
speak
I found
Japanese.
interesting. That
Yeah.
he actually has an idea of
Yeah,
modern language.
yeah. Apparently, he could speak Japanese. He could speak different languages or whatever. And his passport his passport confirmed he was from this place called Torrid, and obviously he had no idea it matched up, so they had to take him in for interrogation. So, and the man was adamant that he's from this place called Torrid, and he pointed it out in a map, and it was Andorra he was pointing to, which obviously is a real country, and he was saying, oh, Torrid's been a country for over 1,000 years, and that's where I'm from, and that. So they didn't know what to do with him.
Mm.
So they put him in this secure hotel room with 2 guards outside. And then the next morning, he'd vanished. Like it's not as if he could climb out the window because there were several stories up, and there was no balcony, and he couldn't leave the room because obviously the guards would see him,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the story ends. Now, you could say it's a taste for time travel, or you could say it's a spy. You could look at it either way. No one's really talked about the spy theory,
Yeah.
but I think that's definitely, if it's a true story, I think that's one of the most convincing time travel, multi-dimensional things.
What do you mean by spy theory?
Well, I think maybe this guy's a spy, that's why he's got fake ID and that, and
Oh, like a spy from obviously our dimension. You mean?
yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
a
okay.
spy from our dimension, like that's why he's got the fake ID and that, and that's why he eventually disappeared, because he has spy connections or whatever, could get out the room.
I kept picturing like he was just making up on the spot.
And the
like he was a
fact,
spy.
and the fact he could speak different languages,
Yeah,
it could
fits the profile.
yeah, it fits the profile of
yeah.
a spy. But on the other hand, I think I'd like to believe the time travel, multi-dimensional one.
There's just a lot of holes with it. First, the you brought up with the Japanese thing. That was the one that threw me off the most. Because if he's from the distant future or another dimension, how does he know Japanese very well?
Well,
if
look
it
how different our language was from the last example you gave us, where he was speaking in ye olde English and you can barely
understand.
That's still there's still a connection of English there to an extent,
Yeah,
and you can still make out what they're saying. But
Well, the case could be that he's from a different dimension, but everything's the exact same in that world,
right,
except Andorra is Torrid.
okay,
So, I mean, it's an interesting story, but again, there's doubts if it's
There's-
even real. It could be an urban legend,
yeah.
but
There's also the possibility the man might not have been mentally
stable.
up there. You know,
but then how come his passport confirms he's from?
I've not
Yes,
seen it. I've
Torres.
not seen any photos of the passport. There's not
Okay,
really.
how do you explain he just if he is, as you say, mentally unhinged? How does he just vanish from this room then?
Don't know, maybe the guards were like, we've locked the door, let's go get a drink.
Well,
Also-
they're highly. I know it's the 50s, but well, that was right after World War Two, so I doubt there'll be any slacking.
Maybe, but even then, Japan in the 1950s, they might have had a really aggressive like police force, and
Exactly.
they might have just killed him off and just said he vanished.
No, yeah.
That could be another possibility.
Yeah,
But why would they just kill this guy? You know.
just as a nuisance. If like, well, let's just get rid of him. We can't
Yeah.
we can't identify him. We don't know who he is. He's talking stuff that we can't just come
Yeah.
about countries that don't exist.
Yeah.
They probably
Yeah.
just lost patience and just killed him. Maybe.
Like, where do we send them if?
I know they can't deport him anywhere.
Yeah, that's
Deport him
true.
back to Torrid.
That's true. I mean,
Yeah, imagine them turning up to the Andorran
there
government.
you go. He's
Yeah.
yours now.
And he's just trying to claim that everybody, you live in Torrid.
Oh,
This
and
isn't Andorra.
another part of the story I just remembered there. He claimed he worked for this company, which was a real company, whatever the company was. I think he was in Tokyo on company business or whatever, and the company had no records of him ever working there. They had no idea who he was.
I wonder, like, when if there was any witnesses at the airport, because did the story say he just appeared there?
Well, no, I think he obviously.
Well, you don't really know because
It says
no
he appeared
one
at the-
really tracked anyone until CCTV
Yeah.
got him, because
Yeah.
you never really paid much attention to a stranger walking somewhere.
Mate, it looked like a normal guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
We described it. It was a Caucasian male with a beard.
right.
But it really is just a story. There's no sort of
Yeah.
evidence
And
for
is
it.
it-
There's no pictures of the passport. There's no sort of
But
official reports on
maybe
this.
that was going to start the next day. Like obviously back in the 50s, things weren't as documented back then. Pictured that maybe they're going to start properly and start the investigation the next day. They says, okay, we'll put him in this room. We don't know what we're going to do with him, but we'll start fresh tomorrow.
Hmm.
And then obviously they go to start it. Look at him, he's gone.
I feel like the story would have been more valid if there was like more sources of it. It seems to be coming from the one institution, like from the Japanese
Yeah,
government and that, and that's why I was asking if there was anyone else that saw him
yeah.
to kind of like validate it more.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, but again, no one would. It's a normal guy who just got taken away by guards. That happens how many times?
I know, probably like more than we probably imagine
Exactly.
ourselves.
So
This is a story I feel like would have been much more easier to debunk if it's true or not if it was brought in modern times.
Yeah.
With like CCTV and all that, because at least then there'd be like multiple ways to look at it, multiple people to either confirm or deny what the
Yeah.
identification is. Because it's so long ago now and documentation is not like it used
Yeah.
to be. It's
I mean, I think it's more believable than the first one. Whether this is a case for time travel or multi dimensions, I think it's got a case for either.
if something like this did happen again and they did mention Torrid or any of the other locations, that might help its claim.
Yeah,
I feel the problem with that though is it's gained so much traction now. It's like
could be
surely
easily cracked.
someone's going to be
Oh, I might jump on the, like
jump on the
bandwagon.
bandwagon and try and exploit the attention that's around it.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean it is an interesting story, but like we said, it could just be an urban legend. It could be a
Yeah.
myth. But it's
And if you did transport it to the wrong time, you should have came now when there's cameras everywhere and everything.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why they set him there, just to test their technology or whatever. Or
Yeah, sort of same theory why aliens always turn up in a back road in a dark hick town.
yeah, so they don't get pictured. They just want to test their stuff.
People who don't have the highest IQs.
Yeah.
Or the highest quality cameras.
Yeah.
But unless you've got anything to add to that story, we'll move on to the next possible time travel story.
No, I think I've made my piece.
No?
I feel
Yeah.
like I just need more.
Yeah.
More. I don't even know what the word
More
is.
credibility.
More credibility. More voices in the
Yeah.
story. I feel like
I think
only
it's
just getting
really
limited
hard
ones.
to discuss some of these because to debunk them we need to understand time travel a lot more because there's too much grey area
Yeah.
Yeah.
with it. If you
I mean, like time travel, like it's not like a thing, like a. I think it's not an actual thing yet. No
Yeah.
one knows if it's true or not. It's like almost like discussing aliens. You know, it's in the same boat as that.
Yeah, the topics it only just came into the
Yeah.
mainstream in the 20th century was sci-fi and that. Unlike other like stuffs in physics like gravity or anything like
Yeah.
that, it's been around for like centuries now.
Yeah.
But this is still a recent phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can't prove or disprove it because there's nothing to prove or
Yeah.
disprove. But I'll move on to this next one, which is from a very credible source. It was an RAF general. I think he was quite high up in the ranks. Basically, he was making this trip from, I believe it was Hanover, to Edinburgh, and it was, when was it? Was it in the 40s? I think.
Yeah, it was.
RAF.
Yeah.
So
Well, because it was the bombing of
No.
Germany that.
No, this is.
Oh no,
this
so
is,
I'm thinking. Yeah, it's the.
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sure this was the 40s. Anyway, this guy flying from Hanover whatever to Edinburgh, and he noticed on the way, in this place in Scotland, I think it was just outside Edinburgh, he saw this abandoned airfield. Where
Drem, was it called?
Drem, that was it. Drem. So this abandoned airfield where cows, where planes used to be, and it's basically essentially a farm now.
Yeah, covered in weeds and
Yeah,
stuff.
and then made he stop in Edinburgh doing what he was doing. And on the way back, he noticed this kind of thunderstorm. He got into this thunderstorm, but he noticed it was yellow, and he's like, okay, he got a bit disoriented, so he tried to get above the storm,
The clouds.
the clouds, to orientate himself again. But it seemed there was no end to it, and suddenly, clear blue sky, no sign of a storm anywhere, and he noticed he was over this Drem airfield again. This time it was full of planes, it was full of workers in blue jumpsuits, and there was yellow planes, and they thought that was extremely strange when just a day or two ago it was a farm,
Dilapidated.
and there was like, it was working airplanes, and these guys working about. Anyway, goes back to where he was going originally, Hanover or whatever it was, and he thought he would tell his other colleagues, his other pilots, and they obviously disregarded the story, thought he was talking nonsense, so he kept the story to himself, and obviously that's it. But I think this is a very credible.
Well, the other thing about it though was like a decade later,
That was it, yeah.
they started the training planes they used in the RAF was the yellow that he saw, and they changed from grey overalls. The workers, that is, and the engineers, they changed from grey to blue overalls.
My apologies, that's where the time travel part comes in, because the planes were the same as he saw, the overalls were the same as he saw. So the theory is that he somehow slipped in time, went forward, and saw this, then on his journey went back to his own time and obviously met up with his colleagues and that. So, what's your thoughts?
my only if I had to rationalise it, to think he might have, because he was so high up and there's not much oxygen, it's
Yeah.
possibly he might have been hallucinating.
But then,
And because he's so far up as well, you might just miss look at things sometimes.
how could they hallucinate things that were exactly going to transpire?
I don't really know myself. That's only
It might have just been pure chance.
Could be, but I mean, I think you would have to really, really high up to. I think modern planes fly at what, 20,000-30,000.
Well, it's not the most inconceivable thing though that you
Yeah.
saw yellow planes and blue overalls. It's not like he
not-
saw dragons and then
Exactly.
10 years later.
Dragons were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing that gets me, I think it's a very credible source. He has no reason to lie whatsoever, and the fact that he's told the story, then basically got told, no, that's rubbish, and he's kept it to himself. He's not trying to get anything out of it.
Yeah, he's not tried to take some sort of fame or something from it.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that that thunderstorm, that yellow thunderstorm, was that some sort of, I don't know, warp or something that.
Yeah, was that the in between
Yeah.
of the dimensions or the
Yeah,
or times?
I mean, if you ever see a yellow thunderstorm, just know you're gonna be travelling in time.
Yeah.
But I've noticed
Get
that
your blue overalls ready.
Yeah.
I've noticed
Adapt.
going back to our first theory where you can go forward in time but not backwards.
Hmm.
He went forward in time
Yeah.
and somehow ended up in his own time, so that's technically not travelling backwards, though, is it?
It's sort of both.
Yeah.
Maybe-
It depends what you mean by the present.
Maybe he didn't transgress between the dimensions, but merely the veil of it was taken away and
Yeah.
he got a glimpse of it rather than actually jumping across.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean,
If life is a simulation, that was just a glitch, and they went, "Oh, wrong bit.
Yeah.
Jump back
Yeah.
about a couple of years."
again, that comes back to my ultimate theory where life is a simulation, but
It could also be another dimension, doesn't have to be a different time.
yeah.
Where this dimension it just
just
is
10
a bit
years
more
earlier.
advanced or later. I mean, yeah. So that seems more plausible because I
Yeah.
feel like I do believe there is a parallel
Yeah,
universes.
definitely. I think
So you might have like a lot. That seems to be a lot of like consistent stories with time travelers. They seem to go to somewhere and then immediately come back
Yeah.
at some point. I've never heard of a
Never
story where
stay.
they're permanently stuck.
No. Well,
What's-
you wouldn't have heard that story then because they'd be stuck there.
Yeah,
Well, unless they
Yeah.
get stuck in present day.
Yeah.
that's what I mean by present day. And that if that was true, it would confirm the theory of Brian
Yeah.
Cox to say if you did travel, you'd be stuck there for good.
Yeah, and what I like about this story as well is how simple it is. There's no elaborate things to it. There's no this man appeared with passport and that, or this computer started
Mysteriously
speaking to.
disappeared.
It seems,
Yeah.
it seems like a
This
story.
person stuck around.
Yeah,
It seems like a story that could happen to anybody.
exactly.
It doesn't seem far fetched either. It seems like like a regular setup for a story, and then I think we've all experienced that kind of thing ourselves, where we look at some things and we just find it funny.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? I don't even know how to describe that, but it's when
you
you look
think
at
it's a
something,
bit off.
something's off,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you click back again. So
Yeah.
that might have just been what happened to him.
Mhm.
He got like a different, like a future deja vu.
Yeah. I mean, deja vu. That could be an episode on its own, but
I
yeah,
know.
yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be the opposite of deja vu.
Yeah, that's opposite
Yeah.
deja vu. That'd be an interesting one.
It would be.
I feel like I should have seen this in the future. And then in the future, you do see it, you're like, oh my god.
But there's not much to really say about that one. Just I think it's a very interesting and very credible story.
Out of all the ones, it's
Yeah.
definitely the most credible and definitely the most, like I said, it's the most relatable one because I say
Yeah.
it could happen to almost anybody, especially on a plane.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go back to a story that's a bit more on the unbelievable side now.
Went normal and we're going to go off the scale
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
We'll go on to like time travel pictures in a bit, but we'll talk about another story. Basically, these photographers were in Hamburg, and they were just like this crash or this battle or bombings. Sorry, it was this bombings. They would take pictures of the crashed planes and the damage and that.
And they destroyed buildings as
They
well.
destroyed buildings and that. Then we took it back to tell people, it's like, oh, this happened. Like, no one believed them. It's like, what are you talking about? There's not been a bombing in Hamburg. But this was during World War Two. So bombing, it's not as if it was a terrorist, it was a bombings happening all the
Yeah.
time.
Air raids.
Yeah.
ISIS travelled back in time.
Yeah, they went back as well.
So it's like, there's not been a bombing in Hamburg, what are you talking about? So it's like, oh, I could develop these pictures and prove you wrong. And when he developed the pictures, it was just normal.
No,
There was nothing wrong with them whatsoever. There was no destroyed buildings, no aircrafts anywhere or whatever. It was just normal. So I thought that was strange. So fast forward 10 years down the line, they open a paper in London, one of them, and seen the front page, a bombing in Hamburg, and it's their pictures they took.
That'd be really scary.
Yeah.
Imagine that happening to you.
So I don't know what to make of that one.
Well, this one I think again, I still think it leans a bit more on the credible side because from what we looked into, we saw the photos, or which I think are the photos
Yeah.
on the video we watched
Yeah, that was the photos from the paper.
from the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that at least there's a photo. There's a bit more
Yeah.
believability to it if it is the photos
What
that they
could
are
have happened
claiming.
is they've seen these photos in the paper and just came up with this ridiculous story.
Yeah,
I just don't understand why their photos
Yeah.
change, because if they took the pictures whilst they had time
And you're
travelled,
seeing it all.
surely what they would be capturing with a camera would be the same as what they're capturing with their eyes.
I know.
Yeah, but then
Why-
if
why
reality,
did it-
reality changes, their pictures change.
Yeah, and photography was obviously different at the time. And
But-
the,
Why go and because surely that once you've made the print on the paper, it should remain the same. It shouldn't be altered by
it's a yeah. I get what you mean.
travelling through
It should
time.
stay as the way it is.
Mhm.
And the technology at the time, photography was still fairly early,
Yeah.
and you couldn't look back at the photos before printing them. The only way you could look at the photos is when they do get printed.
Yeah.
Developed, yeah.
So, yeah, again, see if it happened in modern times, they would have more chances to look at the photos properly before showing them to anybody. But at the time, there was nothing to show unless they got developed. So either the two of them were just way over in their heads, or they were on drugs or something, just hallucinated a bombing, and were taking photos.
But then it so happened that bombing did happen 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
Or not 10, whatever it was.
It could
Right.
still play into the alternate reality thing as well.
It could play, like, again, this episode is maybe about time travel, but I feel like it's more about,
Yeah, all these time
The
travel
alter-
just seems to be jumping back into parallel
yeah, it all
universes.
comes back to that.
Yeah.
Why does that somehow seem more plausible than someone travelling through time? I
don't-
don't understand.
Because I think parallel universes and worlds, I think, have been scientifically looked at, and most scientists agree that it's very possible, if not likely.
Yeah.
Time travel's not really been.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just been discussed enough. In a
Yeah,
way.
and it's hard to kind of test for it, if that makes sense. Like, you can not test for it, but you can kind of notice how it's
Yeah.
come up with equations and formulas for different dimensions, but not time travel. Because how do you
Yeah.
measure it? Because
I know. And all the experiments on time travel haven't worked. The famous Stephen Hawking one,
yeah, like,
where he made a gathering for time travelers and no one turned up.
Oh,
but I don't think that you can't. I could jump
Why
on this,
would you
but I
turn
could
up
say
to see
say right now, right, okay, we're going to have a podcast with time travelers. No one turns up. Like,
Yeah.
it's just him randomly saying it. It doesn't prove anything.
But it does sort of prove that if time travel was to become a thing, and obviously Stephen Hawking's a well famous scientist, surely a scientist would want to test someone to go to that
But
event.
I mean, it could just be the case that the time travellers have not heard of Stephen Hawking's story. Maybe they're so far in the future, Stephen Hawking's is now irrelevant.
Maybe
Yeah.
that'd be well in the future because
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking's he's one of the most famous scientists in
Yeah.
our, not even in modern times. I would even specify. I would say all
Or
time.
maybe they have heard of it and just, for whatever reason or another, just decide not to go.
just wanted the mess of him to not turn
Yeah.
up.
Or maybe there's rules they can't go, or there's.
Possibly. Well, yeah, because if time travel was a thing, the rules needs to be very, very rigor.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways it can go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a neat idea by Stephen Hawking. It was a bit funny, but I just think you can't really prove anything with that.
Okay.
There's loads of theories for how time travel actually works. Like, not how you go through time, but what knock-on effect you have by entering into the past.
The
And
butterfly effect or whatever.
yeah.
That's
But there's another one that, like, say you went back in time, you went back to Austria, you found Hitler as a baby, and you murdered Hitler.
You'll be known as that man who killed that sweet innocent Austrian boy.
Yeah,
Mm.
you either rewrite history or it sorts itself out and basically,
Creates another Hitler.
yeah,
it compensates. Yeah,
So, for example, you kill the original Hitler, then someone else just becomes Hitler.
yeah. And you could have might have made the situation worse.
Yeah,
You know,
he could have succeeded in the war.
Yeah.
You know.
there's different theories about how like sensitive time travel.
no, it
would be.
ends up the exact same. So you've killed
Yeah.
that baby,
Well, that's
but
it. There's so many branches here.
yeah,
Yeah, you kill that baby, but then Hitler and new baby becomes Hitler and plays out the way it should.
yeah,
There's a lot of theories about how sensitive like changing the past can be. Because the butterfly effect, you said that's probably the most sensitive one. As in, if you step on something as simple as a butterfly, that's
It causes
enough.
an earthquake and
Well, not an earthquake, but enough to cause
yeah.
a massive ripple effect in your own timeline. There's also if you do change the past, you end up making another dimension,
Yeah.
going back to dimensions again, but you end up making another timeline.
Yeah.
but I think if the butterfly effect is true, then there's absolutely no way to time travel safely. Because regardless of what you do by existing, you're changing up the composition of the universe.
Yeah.
Well, if time travel is real then, and people have been tinkering with time all the time, I've never noticed any major changes. Nothing's affected my life. So maybe
Unless we're unaffected by the change, we just don't notice it.
that could be the case.
Mm.
But it's an interesting idea. Then, what if you go into the future and go back to the past? How things be affected that way?
There's so many
I
ways
know.
that can go wrong if some nutter try to do that.
But if time is linear, how does the future affect the past?
There's one theory, or not one theory, there's just one paradox essentially, where I can't remember, it goes along the lines of something like this. Basically, this guy goes back in time, right,
Mhm.
and writes a book, right, and claims it's from basically he goes back in time, tells Shakespeare a plot of one of his stories, right.
Oh, so how did it ever get to him in the first
Yes.
place?
yeah,
so
it's the bootstrap paradox. That's what
Bootstrap.
it's called.
So basically, you go back in time, tell Shakespeare a plot of this story of whatever, Romeo and Juliet, for
yeah.
example, right?
And he thinks
And then you go back to time who originally thought of it,
it's a chicken and egg
Yeah.
kind of question. Who wrote it first?
Well, there's similar like examples to that. Like, what if he goes back and kills his dad?
Yeah, his grandfather.
Yeah,
Like-
Goes Marty McFly. Just fades away.
So, if you go back and kill your granddad, obviously you'd never be born, but yet you're still born to go back and kill your granddad.
Yeah. Paradox.
Yeah.
I know that's why, like, see if time travel does exist, I feel like it shouldn't exist. There's just so many ways it can go wrong, and if it gets into the wrong hands, think of the just like the unbearable consequences you can unleash.
I know.
Not just onto the world, just onto reality itself. Yeah.
You could change your fabrics of physics.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone should have that much power. No one there should
No.
have that much power. It's a bit of a worrying
You'd be a god.
precedent. Yeah. And depending on the person, a very vengeful kind of person or a
Yeah.
benevolent person. Because everyone examples this. Everyone just seems to want to go back in time and kill somebody.
Oh
I
yeah.
No one
know.
wants to go back in time and fix things. It's always, I'm going to go back in time and kill my
Oh,
grand's dog or something.
it's like, what was that? I've never actually watched it, but there's this show with James Franco where he goes back in time to try and stop JFK getting assassinated.
Alright, I don't even know this
Um,
film existed.
No, it's a TV show.
A TV show?
Apparently it's quite good, but I need to watch that. But anyway, but going back in time, like people like to say people do it for bad, why not for good? You know.
Yeah.
But is there such a thing as good and bad? That's another thing in itself.
We're already philosophical.
I
enough
know.
as
Well,
it is.
you don't know what knock-on effect it's going to have either. It may have good intentions, but end up going horribly wrong in the future.
Yeah. But I'll talk about now is like I want to talk about how time travel could be. We've looked at examples. We've talked about the kind of aspects of what could happen if you time travel, whatever. But I want to talk about how could time travel actually be possible. Now I think the most likely is wormholes. So
Yeah.
basically, if you get like the way that people describe it is you get a piece of paper, right? You draw a line across it. That's a long line, but if you fold the paper like in half, you just go straight through it. Do you get what I mean?
No.
Right. So
Uh,
that's the way people describe it. So example, right? I've got this here, right? And I put it like that, so it's now vertical.
Rather
Yes,
than
You can
horizontal.
just so rather than going like that,
Yes.
imagine it's like
or if you
that.
fall
It's
along
like
the
a
shape.
circle.
so. It's like, so that's it. And if you do it like that, you can just go straight through rather than right across.
Yes.
It's too
Right,
complicated for
Right.
Ali.
I'll try and explain. Here's a piece of paper here, right? So the way it's described is right. Say this is you draw a line here, right?
Mm.
That's your timeline. That's the past.
Horizontal
present.
line. Yeah.
Yes.
Then that's the point where our fingers are. That's the points, right?
At
Yeah.
either end of the
Then you
line.
can do that.
Oh, so you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You
so
can,
Yeah.
so there's a horizontal line, and the right is the start,
Yeah.
and the left is the end, and you fold it so that these
That's-
points meet themselves, and
And
the
yeah.
start
Loops.
and the end
That's like
create a
that's
loop.
like a wormhole. So you can just go through it and then you're there.
ah, right. Okay. Yeah.
That's
so
essentially what a wormhole is.
is it physically possible to manipulate like physical space
Well,
and
that's
time?
what wormholes do.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah.
So we can see natural examples of this, but do you think can humans do it on their own?
Well, I doubt. Well, maybe I don't know, but I think the best way is just to find a wormhole universe somewhere and go through it, see what happens.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot like because isn't the gravity of like wormholes so like dense? It's the
It
equivalent
slows
of
time.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I think some scientists point out the gravity is so dense that it's the equivalent of like a polar bear trying to balance on a penny.
Yeah.
So if you tried to go in, you'd be crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Crushed to
the-
death.
if you go near it, time. I can't remember the reason for it. I looked it up a while ago, and it's fucking mad scientist. I could barely understand it,
Uh-huh.
but it's like it actually time actually slows down the closer you get to a wormhole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's like
it does. Yeah, depending on like how close you get. Is it?
Mhm.
Did you say time goes slower?
Yeah, and as you get closer, it gets progressively slower still.
I kind of like
So like 10 minutes an hour time could be like 10 years near the wormhole.
yeah. I kind of
Well,
right.
no, the opposite. 10 minutes at
opposite?
the wormhole would be 10 years
Right.
in
Okay.
current time.
Right.
Kind of reminds me of is it Interstellar, where they go to this planet where like a minute there is like 7 years on Earth.
I've not seen the film, so I
That's a
can't
good
really-
film. I'd
okay.
recommend watching it. But
I've not seen
it
it
reminds me of
either.
that. But obviously, I think yeah, wormholes like if it is, if you do go to a wormhole and get crushed, what other ways could we do time travel? We could build machines, for example.
Mm.
That's like the most in film and media, like Doctor Who, the TARDIS, Martin
Yeah.
McFly with the car, the DeLorean, yeah. That's the most common conception of time travel is through this a device. But how would how would that even be possible? How could you just step into a device
Yeah.
and
Those shows kind of mix in like some like concepts of physics, but it is over exaggerated fiction. So
yeah,
It's simplified so that a standard viewer can
mhm.
pick it up. Or he goes in a car and it takes him there.
Yeah, just by
You
going.
understand car.
Oh
You
yeah,
don't understand.
because all the actual physics stuff is just explained in like 2 words or something.
yeah. It's like, oh, I got this thing.
The combobulatomagic.
Yeah, 88 miles per hour. There we go.
Yeah,
But I think I don't know how time travel is possible because no one knows.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
if
as
we-
I said, all the tests are kind of
Yeah,
inconclusive.
I think wormhole. I think space is our answer.
Yeah, definitely more case for space.
Yeah, I mean even no one knows since it's a black hole. Maybe it's
Yeah,
the past. Maybe it's the future. Who knows?
and I feel like if anyone went into it, they're not coming back out.
No.
Because
But,
if like I said about the gravity, so you'd either be killed or you'd be stuck.
yeah, and if you go through a black
Yeah.
hole or a wormhole, they close up eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you can't come back.
Do wormholes do they suck in the space?
So they,
Is that how they-
basically
is that how they work?
Press it.
Ah,
yeah,
okay.
press it with and just gravity
So just
towards it
matter
and destroys.
itself
Yeah.
gets like a blender, it just gets crushed. And
Black holes are
shot.
probably the most dangerous thing in the universe.
It's like a big sinkhole.
Pretty much,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, right.
And they just basically, we can't study them because you can't actually look at a black hole. We can only, you don't, I can actually look at a black hole. You just know it's there because of the effects it has on different planets or
Yeah.
stars or whatever.
All the information we have on black holes is what has been seen, but not what's been experienced of them yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
we
all
know the effects of them.
conceptual.
Yeah, it's conceptual. That's what
I mean,
it is.
it's not possible to look at a black hole because if
It's-
you looked at a black hole, you'd be in it. You know what I mean?
No. I don't know if you guys know, but do you know any like scientists that have actually like attempted to go into one?
Well,
Or is
there's
it
no,
just-
there's no one,
is-
there's none
No,
near.
no.
No, there's-
So it's not been observed properly.
No, you can't observe it. That's what I'm saying. Because
Okay.
we only know they're possible because the effects they have on the things around it.
Okay.
So we can look at the things around it, but if you actually, it's not
We've
possible.
not actually been able to interact with
With
it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we did, we'd be in one.
Yeah.
Well, that's our knowledge of black holes thus far. But yeah, coming back to time travel, like again, there's so many weird cases. I mean, there's been we've went into kind of science behind it. We've looked at some examples, but I will look at like examples, videos where basically it's not like stories, it's just pictures or videos where basically there's been a lot of cases where people have been walking down the street with like back in the 20s or 30s
Mm.
with phones or whatever.
Yeah, mobile
I call it the
phones.
mobile phone epidemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time travelers. Because if someone was going to time travel, I wouldn't bring anything that would really,
Yeah.
cause a lot of bother.
Yeah,
Like
you try
phones.
and blend into the era.
Yeah. Instead of making yourself look like you're not from this dimension.
I mean, the most famous one's probably the Charlie Chaplin
Yeah,
video.
the video. It was found on a documentary on one of the DVDs.
Yeah, and there was this woman who she had her hand to her ear and it looked like she was on the phone, but I think it was just a hearing device or something.
Yeah.
Or she's just scratching her ear or protecting herself from the sun. 'cause
Yeah.
from
Well,
the
no,
video,
I think it was
No,
one
there's
of
definitely
the,
something in her hand.
I didn't see anything in her hand.
But I think, regardless, see if you did have mobile phones, you wouldn't have signal anyway,
I know.
Yeah, who would
who-
they be talking to?
I know.
unless they
Unless
had.
it's like Doctor Who, you can talk through the dimensions.
Yeah, unless they
Talk for plot convenience.
unless
Yeah.
they've created plot convenience, plot armor.
I plot armor, yeah.
Unless they've created this device that makes them be able to talk through time.
Yeah.
I mean, if they've got time travel,
Who's to
You
say
say
they
what-
can't communicate between
Exactly.
timelines?
Yeah.
exactly. But I
Some-
think these cases are very unlikely.
Either they're holding something else or they're not holding anything at all. They're just scratching
Exactly.
or they're
Yeah,
covering themselves
Well,
with something.
it helps that it's all really shitty quality film.
Yeah.
It's all grainy and hard to make out whether it's a shadow,
Yeah.
whether it's a phone, a box, a hearing device.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just all very poor evidence.
I know. And all that evidence seems to vanish the more modern technology comes. Because if
Yeah.
like modern technology, if a time
Bunker.
traveler came for this time and they had like a big green galactic phone,
Yeah.
it'd be harder to hide it or manipulate it,
Yeah, and I mean, I want to go back to stories actually. 'Cause I forgot to mention one, which I thought was really interesting. Was this guy who not bet on, but put in stocks.
Oh yeah.
Basically had $850 to start with, and he started putting money in his stocks and that, and ended up with 350 million. So obviously he got investigated, got arrested, and he claimed he was a time traveller.
I've
And
used
then-
that in court.
Then the day of court, or a few days before court.
Like get bailed out before.
He got bailed out before the court date, which was $1 million. So it's not as if someone could just do it randomly. You need to have the money. And then after that, he disappeared. Never heard from him again. His name was, what was his name? Andrew something or other, Klasnick or something. Was never heard from again.
Oh, how you say it, I remember.
Now
It's a weird spelling of it.
Yeah.
Is what I remember. Sorry.
Andrew Carlson.
I also Andrew Carlson. That was it.
Yeah.
Like 2 S's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carlssin. Carlson.
But he claimed to be a time traveller. That's why he knew all these stocks and where to put his money in that. And that's who became a multi-millionaire. But
I feel like if you did that though, you were able to fathom time travel. You'd at least be a bit more subtle about it.
maybe
You'd
the lottery
throw,
or something.
Oh well, yeah, or you'd throw some losses in
Yeah.
there so
I
that.
know. You wouldn't want to win
Yeah.
continuously.
Because that's how you end up getting chucked out of casinos for
Yeah.
card counting. Is you constantly win. You need to make it believable, like they did with cracking the Enigma code. They came up with a whole theory for how they would. There were certain things they said that they couldn't. They'd have to let play out negatively so the Germans wouldn't know that they were onto it. But I'm getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I get what you mean though. You would want to be a bit more smarter about it, not
Yeah.
just winning
Yeah.
to the point where it's getting suspicious you might be cheating.
yeah. I don't think it was a time travel. I think this guy was some sort of criminal. He knew the stocks somehow. He was like a
I might have had insight in the market,
Yeah.
which is why they were investigating him.
exactly. So
Possibly, yeah.
he kept claiming he was a time traveller, and obviously he went after that. He got his bail. It's $1 million bail, which suggests to me he did have some
Yeah.
insiders
Yeah.
which had the money.
I mean, if you ever want to commit a crime, you can just say, like, if you ever killed someone and said, "Oh, I'm travelling from the future to kill this person. He was going to be a dictator." As I decided to end him.
But there's so many time travel stories.
Yeah.
We
a
could-
lot of them are very mixed in
I mean,
terms of like evidence
There's
and conclusion.
one last one I want to talk about, which is probably one of the more realistic ones. Again, is Noah.
Noah.
Basically, this guy who travelled back from the year 2030 to whenever it was the story first was publicised, and it must have been it was about a year ago actually. It was about not long after Donald Trump first got elected, so about a year or two ago,
Oh yeah.
and they claimed that Donald Trump would get
Re-elected.
re-elected.
Yeah.
Time travel will be invented in 2028, and that he does it because he's got this chip in his wrist, and he done X-rays on him, and he did have some sort of chip in his wrist.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't let them see it.
Even didn't want him, which makes sense if he's a time traveller and that's what he uses. He also doesn't want it to move because then he can't go back.
Why would he bring it up then? Because if he
Yeah.
was to bring it up, then obviously they want to push it
Don't
further.
know. Then he done a lie detector test as well and passed it.
See,
I don't believe like
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
I was about to say lie detectors are just like they are flimsy.
Well, they detect your heartbeat and that, so if you're lying, obviously your heart can
Well,
go
that you
faster.
can easily manipulate them though.
Yeah, if you just told your lie in a very confident and collected manner,
Yeah.
you can get away from lie detectors because all
you-
they do is heartbeat.
You can fool it by clenching your arse cheeks. I'm not joking you.
Yeah.
You can get it to read true just by clenching your arse.
If you had this from experience.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But right, he said don't re-elected. What was the other stuff he said? 2028 time travel would be invented. They claimed some other stuff which seemed very plausible.
Mm.
And apparently went back to 2030. Then came back to our time for whatever reason. But I just wanted to mention that one because there was a few pieces of evidence that went his way, like the chip. And I'm sure the chip is only part of it. He said he had a device as well that helped him, but he didn't want.
I didn't disclose the location of it.
Yeah.
And didn't specify what the device is or what it
Yeah.
did. He just said device.
Which I can, it's like convenient that you don't want to show us, but I can argue with the logic of you don't trust us with it. 'Cause, I mean,
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, that's the same for the guy who was manipulating the stocks as well. He said he had a device, but he didn't want anyone to know about it.
Yeah.
And going back to that other guy, he also claimed he knew where Bin Laden was and
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a tricky one because if you are time traveling and you get caught in the time you're in, how you explain it without giving away too much to the point where they just take your device, use it,
for their own
And then-
will.
and if you're too vague, everyone can just dismiss you much quicker.
Yeah.
really weird predicament if that happens to anybody, if they do like time travel back or even forwards.
Yeah. But I think we've got through everything.
Yeah, we went on quite a lot of tangents there.
We did
Yeah.
a lot of tangents. We're going back to
We
stuff.
time traveled to
Time travel. That's why we kept going back to
Yeah.
points previously.
different dimensions.
But yes, thank you for digging down the rabbit hole with us. Next time we'll dig a little deeper. Bye bye.
Bye.
Take care.